sounds wrong.
Well, no, I mean...
Well, you can say anything, because I can say anything, because I'm flying out of here tomorrow.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I was like that. Most talks in the Middle East. And it's like, well, okay, then.
Yeah. Well...
It's a political bucket of
So
words.
I could say anything, just fly out of here tomorrow.
yeah, off you go, right?
Yeah.
Well...
Leave you guys to handle all the legal mumbo-jumbo. Whatever fallout happens.
Well, maybe I should just hit the stop button right now, then.
Expressed in the following are those of its participants and do not necessarily reflect those of the producers and the Six Talk Podcast Network. Also, the following contains mature material and mild language, which may not be suitable for all audiences. Discretion is advised.
Well, here we go. The Anime Roundtable has gathered once again on this Sunday. I was about to say Thursday. We always tape.
I know you almost said Thursday.
I almost said Thursday because we usually taped
Yeah.
back then on Thursdays, and we started taping Fridays, and now for the next little while, if we're going to tape, it's going to be on Sundays. So on the Sunday evening, July 15th, 2018, good evening from our 6 Point studio in Toronto's West End. Mike Nicolas at the head of the table, and we were looking for a couple of people, or coming up with ideas and trying to find people to do tonight's episode. But unfortunately, James Austin is not available. He's still lamenting the loss of England in the semifinals. Mohamed Shamarki's not here because he's probably celebrating France's win in the World Cup earlier today, and he had them predicted, if you remember, in our predictions last episode. So we're left to plan C. It's Neil Sinclair.
Oh, good. I'm playing C.
Yeah, you're plan C. Well, you're sitting on the third microphone. You took microphone C tonight anyway.
I'm glad I'm not playing B.
And we have a kind of a special guest, more of an inside thought, but a special guest to do this show for the first time, although he's a familiar face to all of us, but making his debut on the round table. He's known about this show for years, but I'm so glad he can do this show for once before he heads back overseas. Mohamed Abdel Hady is sitting on mic 2. We gave him the honor of sitting on mic 2 tonight.
Yeah, glad to be on mic 2.
Yes. Well, it's been a while, and here's the thought, and I'm gonna rewind just as an inside thought for everyone listening for our longtime listeners. When Neil and I helped run.
I have nothing to do with running anything.
Well, when we were running the anime club at York University back in the day, and we're talking a long enough time ago. Like, you were one of my key guys, Neil. Yeah. Mohamed here was clearly one of my key guys.
Mohamed
as well.
was one of the responsible.
He was the responsible one.
Well,
He's the guy that did all the grunt work for me during those years. So to anyone who listens at York and are members of that club at York University, he's a key guy from way back. So and he's well thought out. We're gonna pick his brain over the next hour, maybe 2. Just to see what life is like in many respects. But Mohamed, I'm just really glad to see you.
Well, glad to be here. I mean, it's been a while since I've actually been able to really sit down with the same guys like you and Neil. And every time I come visit, it's just quick hellos and goodbyes. But I'm glad to be here. And just for the record, I was brought to the secret location blindfolded, so I really don't know where the studio is, and I think it's going to remain that way for a while.
Yeah, check is in the mail.
Check. Much obliged.
Well, he was here. Like, just quickly on Mohamed. He does live overseas, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But he's here on family business. So he has family here, and he just came to visit them and help them settle into new surroundings. So,
well, glad to be here and reflecting upon those days back in York, running the anime club with all of you, brings back so many good memories.
yes,
It was such a good time for all of us. All the friendships we made, and I think we made an impact. I think when I went back to York many years later.
How long ago?
Oh, I was there maybe about 4 years ago.
okay. Oh yeah, on your last visit.
Yeah, my last visit, and it had changed so much. The
insane.
surroundings, new buildings everywhere, almost unrecognizable. But still, a little bit of nostalgia here and there. Going to the old places where we used to hold the showings, the lecture halls. I remember how we used to fight to get like a decent hall with a working projector.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we'd have to scramble last minute to try to find one.
Oh yeah, well that's all. Yeah, bygone days, really.
Bygone days.
Thankfully.
Well, it's not our. It's not our. It's,
Some of that
it's just.
stuff, yeah.
It's just not our problem anymore.
Well, it's because the club owns a projector now. I mean, that makes a big difference. We don't have to like kowtow to the UV or U. Yeah, UV.
Yeah, you remember? I think I think there was some. I remember some illegal bribes involved.
Probably
involving donuts and coffee.
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
Yeah, there was something like that. To the UV department every now and then.
Last time I saw you was actually at. Remember, we went to the movie at the Japan Foundation too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we're carrying on a tradition.
Exactly. And I feel we've left an impact and a place at York, especially now that there are so many people coming into the university. There's an established club, and as you said, they have their own equipment now.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the subway has helped too. You know that the subway is now up at York University
yes,
too.
we've been hearing about that since we were in school.
And they've been promising it.
They've been promising
forever.
it,
It's really not no buses go on campus, or buses go around the periphery of campus, but they don't go into the subway station in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
like subway domain, right?
Yeah, it's stupid. I've issues with. I don't think that the subways in that area actually benefit that community at all. It's yes, York, because it's a commuter thing, but I don't think people who live in the area benefit really.
Yeah. And to be and actually building upon what you just said, I remember, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were doing our showings, we've had some requests from people on mail just telling us, how do we get to York?
Yeah.
This was back in 95, 96? And they were I
I didn't want to give it exact here, but it's slightly later than that. But yeah,
it was easy to get. It's easy to get lost getting there,
Right.
and it's easy to get lost on campus.
Right. Now it's different. Now anybody can reach you.
I still get people asking for directions when I'm over there, though. If I go
wow.
if I go over to the dentist and I'm walking back, someone will how do I get to it? And it's like, I don't know, that it didn't exist 10 years ago, or sometimes it's like, go through there.
But there's a wall there.
Yeah. So
well, it wasn't there 2 years ago.
yeah, lots changed there.
It's quite changed. There's a new student center. I haven't been in it. I don't even know it's open, but it's there.
I didn't even know they were doing a new student center.
It's by Osgood Hall.
I got to see someday.
Yeah, you should go by.
I can take the subway.
Take the subway, exactly.
Because I don't have to drive up
anymore. It's the only
anymore.
convenient way to get there, yeah.
These days, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it's like
so what happened? Just quickly, what's happened to the old student center then? Is it still there?
It's still there. Well, I mean, it's still attached to York Lanes and the student center.
That one, yeah.
And I honestly don't think anything has changed. I think it's always just a struggle for more room for the clubs, and they're constantly being
shuffled around
and shoved out of places. I mean, you remember how Yama started with a relatively big office. We were sharing with the York RPG.
Club.
Yeah. And then our space was like halved. I don't even know how big the office is now.
Well, then they moved it downstairs, and then
we were sharing with like 3 different clubs.
They're managing. From last I checked, they're managing okay.
Yeah.
So, and really, it's not our thing anymore, right?
I would hope because of the student center or something that they do have, room.
I think they're more than I think they're like I can't speak for them now, but I think knowing them, they'll figure out a way.
Yeah,
and that's not for us to worry about.
I think that was the basic unwritten rule of the club. We'll figure out a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it certainly was, and the bunch of us were good.
I was there for 3 presidencies, sort of,
pretty much
ish.
3 presidencies, yeah.
You, Simon, and Mike,
pretty much,
and I guess Vlad too. 4. Yeah.
So you saw. Well, you were there longer than you were the last to really leave.
So I saw the various efforts by different club members, like Mike's fundraising with the finding a propane tank for the barbecue and stuff like that.
That's another story. We best not talk about the propane tank much longer than just its mere mention.
I just mentioned it. I'm not going to go any further.
We're not going to go any further with that. It's probably a good idea not to. Okay, so where do we start our conversation tonight? Well, let's start with where I met up with Mohamed, because we met up like last Friday during, I think, a round of 16 match. During some of the we met up at a freaking pub to meet up and watch it. Oh, it was the Brazil and Belgium game. That's what we just went out for something, to just a snack and some drinks. So in my case, I'm non-alcoholic, but it's not necessarily the story here for us is not necessarily the fact we went out to watch it. It was where we watched it. And we ended up watching it on Yonge Street in the Yonge and Shepherd area. A couple months ago, we mentioned it briefly. It was, in what's now, I guess, can be termed episode 0 of this incarnation of Anime Roundtable. We talked about the van attack. We talked about the Yonge Street van attack, and we went to where it essentially happened, where
we walked up the street and
and I mean obviously you were still overseas and but you knew what had happened.
I think
because you'd been staying there.
It was globally broadcasted everywhere, the incident, and everyone was watching it with concern because it is something that is not common to Canada in general. This type of incident.
And you're coming from, and you live these days in
Dubai.
In Dubai, it used to be Egypt.
Used to be Egypt before, yes.
Yeah, so you've been to some.
Well,
it isn't just you've been places, but you've been to places that had been in the.
Egypt experienced a security meltdown in 2011. I've been in hot situations, no denying. But then you hear about these things and sometimes you get desensitized to it, but from the frequency of how it happens, when it happens. But when you think about Canada, and this is the street you used to hang out on, this is the places you used to visit and places you used to eat and go, and then you see this kind of thing happen, you really wonder about the randomness of it, and that makes you even wonder, like, gosh, this could happen anywhere and at any time.
Yeah, well, that's another story. Like the whole crux of the whole. Like, I mean, we don't have to talk too much about the incident itself. I will say, however, like I spent most of Friday, not just with Mohamed, but with some other friends, and I basically spent the entire afternoon and evening, pretty much until in that area, and we were walking essentially the entire route of the attack. And I didn't realize I was basically hanging out on Yonge Street between Shepherd and Finch that entire afternoon, and I didn't realize how far that van was able to drive. Basically, my day started where the incident ended, and then my day basically ended where the incident started.
Well, there was a leaked memo this weekend. So basically, warning of a possible incident.
Yes, that was on Friday.
Yeah.
So and there was an increased presence at various tourist attractions here in the city.
Yeah, and as of this weekend, there are an additional 300 cops doing night patrol until.
Oh yeah, it isn't just that
because there were two gang shootings.
Yeah, and there's been
and they
various
again
gang
one of those
shootings and
was
gun
where
attacks.
I hang around too, down in Kensington. It was just around the burrito place, but. And I know that this sounds bad, but I don't feel threatened by that because I'm not a gang member. I'm not one of the people who are going to be targeted for that particular type of event. So if I get hit, it's because someone is a bad shot, not because they're actually targeting me.
I think that's perfectly normal to feel that, because I think one of the first things that goes on in people's heads is when something like that happens is the why and the circumstances, and then you rationalize it exactly like you said, is like, well, this is obviously targeted. This isn't just random violence. So you get lulled into this sense of safety because, obviously, why would anybody target you?
But the thing on Yonge Street, no, that was
exactly that's
a
the
lot
opposite.
more random.
that's different. That's the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
But handling what you said about handling it, I think is a fair point. Really, just go on.
Yeah, just go on. Don't give the person credit.
Yep.
Like, mourn the people who were involved, but don't make an issue of it, because that's what a person like this would like, and that's what a person who was following this would do. That kind of thing increases the copycat nature of a crime, I think.
Absolutely.
In this case.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just go on, live your lives, and realize this person was a piece of garbage, but don't belabor the fact.
Yeah, and which leads me to this thought about Yonge Street, and I have to say this,
It's so clean.
I have nothing bad to say about Yonge Street. The thing is, it isn't bad at all. I mean, I won't go. Oh, you say your thought.
When I was a kid, like in high school on PD days, we lived out in the country. We went to a semi-rural high school. It was in a small town, and my friend's dad worked in the Parliament buildings. So we would sleep in at my friend's place. He'd wake us up. We'd go downtown with him, and we would go to like the gaming stores and the pinball arcades and things like that. None of that exists on Yonge Street anymore, really. I mean, all of the arcades are gone. All of the gaming stores that were there, and there were at least 3 or 4 on Yonge Street. And the most memorable, the most memorable being Mr. Gamesway's Ark, which actually was where the House of Lords is, or was now again. And it had a full mock-up of the old Enterprise Bridge on its second floor. But
Heart rate fastening.
isn't it awesome? You know, the captain's chair and everything. There was another place that some of their sales, they would let you haggle. And if you haggled poorly, they'd hit you on the head with a rubber mallet.
Wow. Yes.
For bad form, or
both. Yeah,
both. Yeah.
But that's gone. There's none of that. There are no head shops. Someone posted in the weird Toronto news group, and what is this strange thing called a head shop? And it's like, they were all over the place. You went there to get your bongs and black light posters. I mean, they were, you know, I was a young kid who really didn't smoke a lot of pot, well, except with my cousin, but that's a different story. And I knew about that stuff. That's where you went to buy a heavy metal t-shirt. And Yonge Street is not that anymore. Yonge Street is like,
it's a different thing.
Fast food Thai restaurants.
Yes, but I mean,
you know,
and
whatever.
it's different, but it's a different type of fascinating.
There's only 2 strip clubs.
Well,
there are probably more, but there are 2. I mean, the Brass Rails, which is from Flashdance.
Yes.
And another one whose name I don't know.
Okay.
And we'd rather not repeat.
I know. But I mean, Flash. I think one of the reasons that one is still there is possibly because Flashdance. It had a name, and it capitalized on that. I don't know how in Toronto the Good, which is sickeningly whatever.
I'm not totally sure about that nickname.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't like the Yonge and Dundas area because it looks too much like everywhere else. The person who designed that area came and took a look at it and also thought it looked horrible and bemoaned the fact that they had actually
Done that.
There are old signs from old good businesses like Sam the Record Man and that hanging up there, and they're like headhunter trophies.
Because that's literally on top of a skyscraper.
Yeah, they are the signs of what used to be there, what used to be really cool, and now they're just neon.
It's a little. I think we've gone too far, right?
So
the personality's gone downtown.
Yeah, world's biggest bookstore, I think, was the last place down there that had any character.
Oh yeah, that's long gone.
Yeah, it's long gone. That was gone 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing down there that says Toronto. Nothing. It was like Nordstrom? No.
It just says generic big city.
Generic big city with giant neon billboards.
It could be, you're right, you're absolutely right. It could be an intersection basically anywhere in North America.
Yeah. All you do is whip up a giant Ferris wheel, jam it down there, and all of a sudden it's, London or whatever.
London-ish.
Yeah, London-ish. London light.
Well, and then keep in mind, remember we made fun of the scramble crossings at Anime North. There's a scramble crossing there.
Yeah. Friggin' Doug Ford wants a damn Ferris wheel.
Well, that was back in the day.
Well, hopefully that will not arise again because it's stupid.
Because his brother's there. Because Doug's there. Doug's the premier now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think it's tasteless, and it's copying other major metropolitan centers, and that makes it more tasteless.
You miss the character, don't you?
I do. I don't want to say I miss the porn stores, but I miss a certain amount of sleeves.
Oh, you can download that.
Yeah, no, I know you can. That's why it's not there.
Yeah, but those kind of places are the kind of places you went to build your character.
I remember going there and by them and ooh, that's naughty or
something. By them. Sometimes I walked into them.
I take my hat off.
It's normal.
Yeah,
I take my hat off.
Yeah, you go inside, just check it out. I mean, it's part of our culture.
There's a place down there still which has a giant dildo that is in the shape of a fist. Oh. It's in the store window. I like that because I want people to have a little bit of a shock.
Right.
As far as I understand, not having been there, that the same horrible change went over New York. That you don't have any of that seediness in the core anymore. And I think that you need some of it. I don't know.
That's a fair statement.
I
mean, I can't say I agree or disagree.
It's like the Waverly Hotel.
Agree, but I just don't know what to... That's just something I would have to process, to be honest.
Like, again, the silver dollar sign is going to be mounted up there, too, as a trophy to the...
Besides Sam the Record Man?
Yeah.
Is it seriously beside?
Yeah. Isn't that horrible?
At least put some distance.
They're putting it up there, though. And it's like, okay, yeah, great blues club. Oops, we don't have it anymore. The only place people will ever see it is Adventures in Babysitting.
Well, maybe that's but along Yonge Street, when you go further north in on Yonge Street into North York, okay, give me a thought on that area immediately then. On the Young Shepherd, Yonge Finch.
Bong Sushi. That's the only thing I can think of that's up there that's worth anything.
I found it charming, but then again, I don't know what. I haven't been there.
Like Mel Lastman Center or Square.
We passed by it.
See, it's not memorable though.
That's true.
It's not
a fair statement.
Yeah, I mean, at least New City Hall is in a Star Trek episode.
Yes, it is.
Well, I have very good memories in the public library.
Oh yeah.
Public library in North York. Used to go there a lot. Do a lot of reading. No, seriously.
See,
there's a liquor store.
And there's a liquor store.
That big liquor store that used to be like, what was it, North York City Hall or something? They converted it all into a liquor store. It's terrifying. It really is.
I mean, I always told you I went up there because I had to go to a license office. There's a like in the Young Shepherd area. So I mean, I pointed out the building to you, or I pointed out the building when I was there. They've been redoing some of the buildings because I know for retail purposes. I'm not totally sure that would be to your agreement.
Yeah, I'm not a big necessarily retail renovation.
I mean, yeah, there's there's restaurants, cafes. I mean, I liked the.
Well, like I said, Bong Sushi is up there.
Yeah, I know. I was charmed.
So, yeah.
I enjoyed hanging out there that entire day. For what it's worth, anyway. Just to take in what it's like these days in light of what happened. But then met up with a couple of other friends. Went out. Met up with Oh, here's a name to haunt Adam if he ever listens to this show. Met up with Squirrely. Because, we always relayed messages to Squirrely back then to Adam, and Adam had no clue who Squirrely was. I would withhold their real name from him.
So their identity has been secret all this time?
All this time to him. So,
That's funny.
and Squirrely knows who they are. So
They know who they are.
They know who they are. So, because I get messages from them all the time. One of the few followers on the show's Twitter feed at Anime Roundtable.
What do you think of the remodeling around Yonge and Eglinton at the Eglinton Center?
I haven't seen it, to be honest. That's the thing.
I don't really
see. I don't
Again,
always
it's just
get out
there. It's not a.
Like it's the thing is the fact maybe I haven't gone there may say doesn't say a lot. It's just there is. I guess that there hasn't been anything out there to really pull me there.
What I don't like in the city, because I have torn feelings about it. Frankenstein architecture, where you take like an old venerable building, say,
and then integrate
100 years ago, and
integrate it into part of the new building. Essentially,
Exactly, yeah.
Probably the most famous example of it in this city is the former Air Canada Centre, now called Scotiabank Arena, where the Leafs play, where the Leafs and Raptors play.
Or the ROM.
The ROM, which looks like it's got a giant parasite, like a crystal parasite growing out of it.
Yeah, I think the most infamous one in sports.
It's an alien ship.
Yeah.
And they just decided to land where the ROM is. And
You're kind of describing Soldier Field in Chicago too.
When you're going down, I forget what the building is. It's part of U of T, on like just above College. You have on one side this kind of venerable clock tower, kind of Parliament building looking thing, and then on the other side is this glass blob. You can't, but you generally can't see that they're a fusion of each other unless you are like looking at them on sideways. It's really strange.
Yeah, that kind of thing throws me off too.
Yeah.
Basically, would you say they should lose their heritage designations? Because that's what happened to Soldier Field when they redid it. It basically put a spaceship in it.
I don't know. It's hard to say because I would like to see those areas
Preserved in some form.
preserved at some point. There's a park actually somewhere in the city. I forget where it is, which has a lot of building fronts and stuff in it. They've just like taken them and put them there, and that sounds really cool. Because I'd rather see them at least isolated in like a weird little park than totally gone.
True.
Ah, well. Anyway, as I said, the thing is, after going up there, it had been a couple of years since I really hung out there in any form up into the North York, in North York and Yonge Street. Let's just say I enjoyed being up there. Funny part was, you probably don't remember the Twister Karaoke Club.
Yes.
Do you remember?
It's at the corner of Yonge and
Finch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I just was surprised to see that because we'd been there.
I think they get an insane amount of business.
That's probably why it's still there. But it's probably one of the more popular. It's
open late, isn't it? Like
that's probably a big part of it. That's probably a big part of its popularity.
Yeah.
I think it's like it might be the big one in that area. So nice area. I mean, as I said, I keep saying, want to help the area, want to help out in light of what happened. Just visit it.
Visit it. Yeah.
Have dinner there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had dinner at like Squirrely and Company we had dinner at a katsu place, which was really nice. Whose name I forgot.
The Korean restaurants are really good there, most of them, and again, do not expect you to pay for those tiny little millions of appetizers they give you. So you basically have at least 2 or 3 meals free as you're eating. It's nice. I like that. I really like Owl of Minerva.
Oh, sure. I think we saw that too.
We saw it, yes. Yeah. And that's kind of a infamous, famous Korean.
There are like 3 of them in the city, maybe 4.
There's one in Mississauga.
There's
They're all
4
open
of them.
24 hours.
We occasionally get like the entrees in my grocery store. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
And then like that's a Korean area, so there, we popped into a couple of a Korean supermarket and a couple doors down a Housewares cosmetics store, I think run by the same by the people who run the grocery. Fun little place. You bought some stuff for your mom
I bought for my mom roasted sweet potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Because she's a big fan of those, and luckily I found it there roasting in that roaster, and I just picked those last 2 pieces up.
It was a hot day too.
Yeah, it was a hot day.
Brave
too,
man.
And yeah. Well, my mom's happy, so
They've settled in. They've settled in okay. They've settled in okay where they are now.
Yeah, all settled.
Because when you were over the last couple, like how many weeks have you been here? 2 weeks, right?
Yeah,
roughly 2 weeks. I mean, you were actually staying in the Yonge Shepherd area. Yeah. That's why we met up there.
Okay.
And then you're helping them move, and they've settled in okay. Well, okay. So one of the other things we ended up talking about, and at the 30-minute mark, roughly. No, when we were talking, you talked a little bit of like over the years while we were like when you weren't around and we were able to be in touch in some form. You told me went at length about how anime fandom and manga have gone over in the places you've lived in since.
Well, I'm originally from Egypt, so when I went back to live there for a while for work. I noticed that, especially with the aid of like social media, like Facebook, people have been talking more and more about I don't want to call it our anime heritage. I want to call it about anime heritage in general, where in the Middle East, people have been watching anime in one way or another since forever, since like Grandizer and Mazinger started showing up. It has been translated into the local languages, which made it have such a big reach in the region. So that's how people like me started. So my whole generation, I'm not going to say what generation I'm at. I'm not going to say what age I am. But our generation, when we hear the theme song for Grandizer, we just get chills.
Yeah.
You know, and that theme song was translated into Arabic using the same tune and music as the original Japanese version. So this whole generation has grown up watching such animes, and there's the whole list of them. And then over the years, we've seen some fans who start sketching manga, who start following up anime on the download sites, and then they start forming this collective on the social media. And somehow this critical mass formed. And in about 5 years ago, they launched the first ever anime convention at a university, one of the universities downtown in Cairo. Mm-hmm. And I attended that event, and the Japan Foundation was supporting with some logistics. And
do you remember what year?
I'm not clear what year. I think it was 2012. I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first year it launched, and I was just amazed by the number of people who showed up. It was about 2,000 people, and some of them were even bussed in from like far locations in the country. They basically set up their own meeting points in all sorts of cities and just got together, rented buses, and just came to the town, to Cairo, to participate. And some of them even had cosplays prepared, which was also another shock. That how grassroots this has become, or has been becoming over the years, aided by social media, aided by all these download servers and making this anime available, now to the point where now there's also, just like we had fan subs from Japanese to English, we have now fan subs Japanese to Arabic. So this is where we're at right now. So it's making the reach of anime more and more accessible to the non-English speaking communities in that area. And going from Egypt, going to Dubai, where I work now. Last year I attended, this April, I attended the Middle East Comic-Con Festival, which was science fiction, fantasy, anime, video gaming. It's the biggest event of its kind in the Gulf area, in the Middle East.
Basically a Comic-Con for the Middle East.
Precisely.
Basically Comic-Con for the Middle East.
Precisely. And it was started by two gentlemen, one by the name of Ali Khan and one by the name of David Hady. And they're just fans like us, and they decided to make a business out of it. Started about 7 years ago, and this year they've actually sold the event to an international Comic-Con organization that manages these events. And this April, where they held the last one, they had 60,000 visitors, which for a city like Dubai,
that's some nice numbers.
Is nice, and for that region is a very good number. Not only that, we had major sponsors come in. We had Netflix come in with a huge setup and a Lost in Space kind of a studio setup where you can get on the spaceship and get photographed and do all sorts of cool stuff. This was just awesome because I love that show, by the way.
I'm not jealous
Yeah,
at
curb your enthusiasm.
Well, I
I'm
love
saying-
that show. I have to say that. I'm
yeah,
sorry. But
Lost in Space. Yeah,
yes, the
all.
reboot is
the vehicle.
I see
chariot?
envy in his. I see
Oh, yeah.
envy in his eyes.
I really like the chariot. I hate to say it. Like, I haven't watched all of the first season yet, but the chariot is very NASA designed.
Yeah.
There is a
it's Lego design.
mega constructs.
Mega construction. That's even
They're a Montreal based company. They basically did that rover as one of their like pro builder kits last year. I hope it did well. They have crap distribution in Canada, really bad distribution in Canada.
You should see the expression on Neil's face right now saying that.
Really
he means
bad.
business.
It was so damned hard to get some of these things. There's like, again, the grassroots movement where people are like buy, sell, trading them and middlemaning the stuff from different stores. But for some reason, they are owned or distributed by Mattel.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Canada has just, especially bad since now Canada has some of the only Toys R Us's in the world.
Yeah, that's
Only Toys R Us is left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should be getting something. I don't know.
I was assuming a lot though.
That's speaking as a toy purchaser. Yeah.
I was very sad to hear about that, Toys R Us.
Oh, yeah.
Toys R Us going down in the
Absolutely.
States.
They overcharge. They're bad. They have crappy, again, stockpiling and stuff. But they are one of the better places to go. And I like to see an actual store as opposed to something online.
Once again, the charm.
If you as a kid going to Toys R Us or taking a kid Toys, even if it's a relative or a nephew or whatever, it's just the look on their face. You see when they're going in the store. You can't buy that online.
You can't look at this stuff. You can't look at something online like that. I think part of the failure of Toys R Us in the U.S. Well, it was obviously the fact that they were bought 3 years ago and had another company's debt placed on them. Like, congratulations, you now owe several $1 million because we purchased you and shifted that debt. So that happened. Mattel forced them to buy a lot of Disney crap from the new movies. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the new movies were necessarily bad. I'm just saying that some figures in the new movies really didn't sell and still had them thrust upon the stores.
Kind of like Disney's credo that every movie theater has to hold like a Disney film for 3 weeks.
My local drive-in.
This is a story.
Yeah.
This is a story.
Do you know this?
I'm aware of this story.
Did I tell you about this though?
I heard it on the radio.
Oh, okay.
I heard this story on the radio.
Because my local drive-in in near Guelph is not showing Solo or what else? Something else. Ant-Man maybe. Because Disney requires that 3 to 6 week thing.
I think it's 3 weeks. But if it's 6 weeks, it's even worse.
It might have been 6 weeks for
the thing is, for small towns, they have to rotate them a lot more frequently because 3 weeks, you're going to get everybody who's going to want to see it at that theater.
Already seeing it in the first 2 weeks.
Probably within the first 2 days.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
It's really bad policy for small theaters.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, we're spoiled. Like, this area is spoiled in that sense. But in a small town, I can see that logic.
Yeah,
I can start to see that logic because there's I
think it's worse at a drive-in.
Yes, and I know there's a there's a drive-in just in in Oakville.
Okay,
the 5 drive-in that's been there forever.
It has 5 theaters, or is it called?
It has 3. It did before,
okay,
but it has 3 active screens now, and they're like all of them do
the same thing or
double.
Oh, okay.
They do double features.
Okay,
every weekend, right? But I think they have 3 different screens, and each of them show double features, and I think maybe because of that, they're able to rotate it a little better, because then,
Yeah.
one's on one rotation, and then the next week another screen starts another rotation, and then basically one of those two screens.
That does
will
definitely
probably have something
free
different.
them up. But when you're a one screen drive-in,
or a one screen theater.
yeah, you're screwed.
That sounds problematic. But I know that story.
Yeah.
So I know it. So back to Toys R Us.
It's the same. It very much ties in, and I think that if Toys R Us wants to be fiscally lucrative, they have to have the choice, and they have to have competitive prices. There's a lot of stuff I see in dollar stores that are getting shipped. That a lot of products are getting shifted to dollar stores, and don't even see Toys R Us. Mm-hmm. And if I can buy,
it's straight to sometimes.
Yeah, if I can buy something in
to.
a dollar store for $4 that Toys R Us is charging $6 for, the choice is pretty evident. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I'm the guy who now has his microphone pointed improperly. He's going for more water, tap water, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so we talked So you just mentioned fandom, as it would be.
Yeah. So in the Comic Con, we had many of the same features we've seen.
You showed me some picture. You showed me a couple pictures of like a Filipino cosplayer, really, like who's become quite popular in that area.
Yes, we actually in Dubai we have quite a large Filipino community, and they are one of the main forces behind fandom in Dubai. So not
probably
just
because a lot of them have settled. Yeah, because a lot have settled in that area for various reasons.
Yeah, we had a modeling competition for building models, Gundam models, all sorts of stuff like that. We had a cosplay contest from all sorts of genres, whether it's science fiction, fantasy, or anime. Mm-hmm. We've had the full cast of the main characters from Lost in Space show up. We've had Ezra Miller from the Flash series.
Yes, I know Ezra. I've heard of that name.
Yeah.
This was really... all the way to... Well, Dubai is...
It's one of the main commercial hubs in the region.
It's a hub in the region.
Culturally and commercially.
Okay.
So we had Carl Urban show up from the Star Trek series and others. We've had the character who plays Hodor in
he's like looking through
Game
the
of
list
Thrones.
Again.
Yeah, Christian Nairn. It's a long list. And many others. We had Jason David Frank. Anybody remember that name? The Green Ranger?
Sure. From
the Power, Green Ranger from Power.
I was about to say Red Ranger, but that's somebody else. I think that was Austin St. John, who I read up on his what he'd been up to. Apparently, he's become a first responder. I think a firefighter since then.
Wow.
So they've come. Like a lot of them have gone along. Like a lot. Like the characters we used to grow up with have come a long way too. The popular ones you just mentioned, David Jason Frank,
right?
Like I know he dabbled in MMA for a while too. Yeah. So, but he still has some notoriety. Amy Jo Johnson settled in Toronto, the woman who played Pink Ranger and has done various projects since. She settled in Toronto because she married a Canadian, I think. She taped. Remember, she used to tape Flashpoint here too. Which was a popular show on CTV and for a couple of years on CBS. David Yost, I think his name was. He was the Blue Ranger, Billy, and I know he came. I know he's. I think from what I remember, he's active in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
So now, the only person you feel the only person we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Tweet Tran. She passed away in 2020 and 2001, right around the same time as 9/11. And her death was lost in the headlines, obviously, at the time. So, but yeah, I can go. That one was the fact. There's a name from the past right there. So, and in all that, and in our little conversation there, somehow Neil was able to go to the washroom. You washed your hands.
I did.
Okay, cool.
Because
I want to get to because I want.
Sorry.
Finish your thought.
I was going to comment on the fact again that you mentioned Netflix. Netflix is everywhere. It seems, and they are producing so many independent productions as well. I mean, South Park made a joke about it in an episode. But it's true. I mean, Netflix is cranking out stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it is good. Some of it is good. Some of it is...
Are you worried about the sustainability?
I don't know, because...
Because that's sometimes a discussion point with all this, with Netflix.
Netflix is an alternative to big studios in a way. I don't know what Del Toro would say about that, or Edgar Wright. I would love to get a comment from, and it's never going to happen, about that. But there's some really good stuff.
I mean, I've yet to watch any more. Like, I was a big Joel McHale fan, so I used to love The Soup. He has a show there now.
How is that?
I've only watched one episode. Feels like The Soup.
Because again,
but without the restrictions of cable television. So.
Big Community fan, so somehow that shunted me into.
Did I tell you I saw him in person? I saw him.
No.
Like this was like in 2012. I went up all the way to Casino Rama.
My friend works there.
Oh, good. He'll probably be moving.
She does hospitality. Probably
be moving pretty soon. Probably cross paths sooner or later.
Yeah, that's funny. But
well, I saw him there and drove up, and like it turned out to be his first Canadian appearance. He mentioned that, even though he has a Canadian mother. His mother's from BC, I think Vancouver, or I think it was from his mom was from Vancouver because he's from Washington State. So it was his very first Canadian appearance at the time. It was a good act.
I am weirded out by the number of people with Canadian ties. It's like The Rock was on Colbert and he said, my mom's family's from Canada. And it's like, what the hell?
Yes. Well, and his dad lives in Nova Scotia these days.
Of course he does.
So Rocky Johnson, I think, settled in Nova Scotia.
They're just gonna give up in everywhere.
Brock Lesnar lives in Winnipeg.
See, most Canadian or most Hollywood talent lives or has lived in Canada for some point in time.
But the Brock Lesnar one was interesting because he's been known to he publicly slammed the healthcare system here before, but now he lives here.
But speaking of Community, I've been watching Glow.
Well, Alison Brie, right?
Yeah, she looks kind of scary thin, but that's because she does her own stuff, and she has earned that scary thin. It's a cool show. I watched some of the original wrestlers on YouTube.
Oh, the original Glow
Glow, yeah. I do not remember this from the 80s.
I vaguely saw, because they never aired it in Canada.
Okay, that might be it.
It was never aired in Canada. I saw only maybe 2 episodes of it back when I was visiting my cousin in New York.
Would it have been on in
the 80s?
What would it have been on like in the US? Like, was it on cable or?
It was on local television, like a WPIX or something.
So like Channel 29.
Their equivalents,
okay,
yes.
Yeah.
So it would have been. It's their
because that's WNED.
Well, WNED is PBS here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry.
WUTV is Fox 29 in Buffalo.
Yeah.
WPIX is Channel 11 in Manhattan. I think that's just an independent station now, like a super station.
Yeah.
Channel 5 is Fox.
Yeah.
Channel 5 in New York is Fox. Channel 9 is
I love how you can get all of this stuff with the digital antenna.
I think that's Channel 9 there is now CW.
I'm not thrilled with CW. It's all beautiful young people.
Or I could have it wrong. WPIX could be Channel 11 could be a CW, one or the other. I have to double check.
People look too good to be on TV in the CW and dramas, though. It's like we're a post-apocalyptic world and we look pretty.
We're what's left.
Well,
we're just left. Only the makeup that people loved.
I mean, just going back to Mo's thought, because he talked just at length while you were in the washroom about all the people who've come through Dubai and all that stuff, and I guess you get surprised to know about it because when you think about places in like the Middle East, like Egypt, Dubai not so much, but certainly Egypt, you think of all the strife that has happened there, and this is sort of Anthony Bourdain-ish.
Well, my friend who manages the festival theater at the Bloor. Mm-hmm. Ran for 2 years in Dubai.
Oh wow! Okay,
it sounds like it's a pretty cosmopolitan place.
Very much so, and this was very prevalent in the Comic-Con by all the talent I've seen. there was a whole section for artists and showcasing their artwork and their drawings.
Oh, that's nice.
And actually, what's really good is that most of the artists were in fact women, and most of them were in fact basically below the age of 25. So many of them are students, still in university or even high school, and because Dubai and UAE in general is a very up and coming cultural hub. And they are very careful about how education. They really invest in the young population. People's minds are really turned on. So I saw many girls showcasing their talents in artwork, drawings of all sorts of styles, the regular anime style we're used to, and all sorts of different styles I've never seen before. Drawing either mainstream characters from anime and manga, or maybe even going further to draw real life-like characters from TV, live-action TV.
Okay, yeah.
And it's kind of funny when I saw this picture and taken from the Comic-Con. It showed a young girl, wearing a traditional kind of burqa, but in place of the burqa, there was a Tokyo Ghoul mouth mask, with the teeth, the one worn on the series.
I've seen a Harley Quinn like that too, and
Yeah.
it's really inventive. The way people have sort of gotten around bending.
Exactly, they're bending.
Costumes,
bending the cultural sort of paradigm, and they're sort of adapting it to their own new kind of culture that they're trying to develop, their proto culture.
That's been a thing lately. I mean, they've been discovering it, trying to make it their own thing. I mean, you see that in a lot of regions. There's clear influences from overseas or outside of country, but then they try and truly make it their own. And it's not just art style; it's presentation and just the culture, the culture that ends up surrounding it. I mean, I've seen documentaries about that type of stuff. I should look this up later. I'll look this up during the break.
Right. And there was also the video gaming aspect, which figured in pretty heavily. You had a whole section dedicated to Fortnite with live playing sessions.
Did I say that? Did you hear that sigh? Sorry.
Yeah. And with all due respect to Fortnite players, but it's just big. It is big there. Okay. There was also Destiny, figuring in big time. I went to the Comic-Con clearly identifying myself as an anime kind of manga fan. I wore my Death Note T-shirt just to eliminate any doubt of why I'm there. Just to eliminate any doubt of why I'm there.
So double takes or melded in nicely?
Melded in nicely. Although I've seen some really nice cosplays. I saw a Catwoman, one of the best Catwoman cosplays I've ever seen, and for a minute there, I thought it was Anne Hathaway.
Yikes!
Yeah. But I said to myself, what would she be doing there? She's in Hollywood. But then actually, it was Anne Hathaway. But I think she was short on funds, so I think she's just doing this kind of thing. Just pay bills. I'm kidding. She wasn't there.
I have one of the first video games that have come out of Iran. Mm-hmm. I haven't played it, but it looks okay. It looks very.
What's the story?
It's very Drake's. Uncharted Lost Treasure kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And supposedly you get, at some point, a little remote car that you get to control and detonate, which sounds hilarious.
Oh, interesting.
That's just me, though.
I don't know.
Well...
Okay.
That sounds like an episode of Batman the Animated Series too. Just for reference.
I think it sounds neat.
It also sounds like a mission in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. The game is a little derivative, but the fact that it's a game is what counts. Well,
there's some thought in it.
Yeah,
there's some thought.
The fact that
sometimes
it's being produced is
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery sometimes too.
And just to wrap up, I think the just to give people a thought of what is popular over there in the region. I mean, in Egypt, for example, they are simply nuts about One Piece, which I have not. I really haven't really caught on to this series, but
neither have I. Frankly,
I respect anybody who likes it, but I don't know what the fuss is about.
If you've made it through all 8 million episodes.
But I made it 8 million episodes. No, I have not even dared to try. But they're nuts about One Piece for some reason. Naruto, of course, both
Naruto,
Shippuden and the other one. And what's really popular in Dubai and Gulf is Tokyo Ghoul, of course, Attack on Titan. It's just so big there.
I will write these titles down because I'm still trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But I'll talk. But later in the show, I'll talk about something I had watched. But
right, Death Note has an incredible following of people I would have never guessed would watch even anime in the first place. We discover each other by chance. You know, you watch Death Note? Oh yeah, I watch Death Note too. And you know, people look at each other like they're shocked. You know, so Death Note actually is one of the series that has left a mark on people who've watched it for some reason. It's kind of like I guess Full Metal Alchemist would have.
It
clearly drew people who never even touched the anime medium. So much like Grandizer pulled that generation back then, you know.
Kind of like Sailor Moon 20 years ago here.
Kind of like Sailor Moon 20 years ago here.
And Pokemon.
It's still
maybe 20
bumping along
not too long after that. So
yeah, and you have of course Tokyo Ghoul, which also made some real head. I
think I've seen one episode of that. Again, it was like it was like
that's what we all thought. But you know, you keep going and you just want to see it to the end. Yes, just want to see it to the end. And of course, there's Shingeki no Kyojin. Is that what's it called? Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
that's how that.
Shingeki on Kyojin. No,
Attack on Titan.
That's 3 episodes for me, 2 or 3.
I've watched 4, one more than you.
Yeah,
but you said everyone says it gets real interesting. It's not bad. It's just I haven't given myself time.
I want to see the live action Parasite actually.
And live action.
It sounds goofy.
Well, okay. So with all that said, and we'll talk more about what's on our streaming queues, I suppose. Okay, so I know you mentioned this. We just spent a nice portion of time talking about fandom.
Yeah.
Fandom in the Middle East. Contrast that with what you ended up seeing here on your visits.
Yes, I mean it just so happens my luck hanging out at was Yonge in college, and just finished the lunch and making my way back to the subway on the street, and I see this group of ladies. They couldn't have been older than maybe 30 years old, but they were fully cosplayed in maid cafe uniform. Fully cosplayed. I think there was 3 of them, maybe more, but my eyes kind of blurred when I saw that. Might have been a sudden spike in blood pressure.
I got dizzy.
All of a sudden.
Great.
But yeah, but seriously, you see that kind of thing. It's just a fresh of breath air. Like wow, this kind of stuff is cool. People are taking this seriously.
I saw a group of maids in a bar. We were walking down, like paralleling Yonge Street, so I guess we're like maybe 2 streets over, and we just happened to walk by the window because we were going somewhere, and it was like, huh?
Yeah, do double take.
Yeah, because it's not a normal, it's not the normal group of friends hanging out lifting brewskis. And
you're caught between that, awkwardness, between staring too much and trying
your face up against the glass.
Trying to really take that in, or saying, wait, you're a few seconds short of being, in a legally gray area. So
Uncle Tetsu's has a maid cafe.
I've seen the Uncle Tetsu's cheesecake restaurant downtown.
Yeah,
is that the same one?
There's a maid cafe upstairs.
No way.
It's like,
how was I not told of this?
I'm sorry.
Wait, you just found out now?
I just found out now.
Just the second.
Just the second.
And you're leaving tomorrow.
And I'm leaving tomorrow.
I'm not laughing.
You're not laughing hard. I'm sorry, did you say something?
We went upstairs and they were like fully like booked or occupied or whatever.
I'm sure they were.
And so we left. But yeah,
I know they appeared at Anime North. I will tell you that.
It might be an appointment thing, like a reservation.
I mean, your sister and mom are here. You have plenty of reasons to return eventually.
Well, sure, but not for them.
Family, yeah.
Well, to tell you, there is a maid cafe also in Dubai that opened.
Probably
one of the bigger malls.
Probably okay.
Yes. And they're trying to emulate the same idea. It serves sushi, various drinks and snacks. I haven't been to it honestly because I thought it was just a little too commercial. and not enough of the real spirit that we've heard about.
Yeah.
Well, there's only would you know the spirit if you saw it? Because I've never been to a real one, and I'm
None
not
of us
totally
have been
sure.
to none of us has
I
been
think-
to Akihabara yet.
I think the spirit would know me.
That's a spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave that thought before you really incriminate yourself.
Let's think about maids. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I'm flying out tomorrow, so hey.
Drop them a line. Let's take the break. I'm going to give a thought to you guys about somebody really famous, but I'm going to juxtapose that into a situation for people of our age now, but we're clearly not at that point. Think about. I'll give you that
I'm
thought.
so confused by that statement.
Well, we'll clarify it in a couple seconds. Back with more. It's the Round Table on Six Talk. And the podcast now continues. It's about to say in front of a live audience, but nope.
I think it's in front of an alive audience.
Yeah. Yeah, well. How did the script go? How did the script go back in the day? In front of a live audience, online via Six Talk, official podcast, Anime North. Nicolas, Sinclair, Abdel, Hady with you in conversation during the break. This whole segment's probably we're going to talk about pretty much the same stuff, but and take different angles. But during the break, we helped Mohamed here solve a small mystery from his childhood. Showed us a video of a show he would have watched when he was a kid. And we weren't sure, but we just knew one thing about it. It was a Miyazaki television show from the 70s.
Late 70s, thank you very much.
Yes, late 70s. And we had to look at it a little bit. He knew part of the title. The thing was, the video, the clip he showed us was in Arabic, right? It was. So we had to. So he gave us like a thought on the title, and it turned out to be Future Boy Conan. We were watching a scene from Future Boy Conan in Arabic.
It's one of the first things I remember watching, and I love the story. If I can give a quick synopsis,
Go for it.
It's
It's not as if we have a time limit.
Yeah.
Well, very briefly, it's about a group of scientists who attempt to escape Earth from nuclear magnetic storms resulting from a nuclear holocaust. And their rocket launches but fails to complete the trip into outer space, falls back to Earth, and the survivors eventually learned how to live on what remained of Earth. So the future there is like what you've seen in Kevin Costner's movie Waterworld. Everything is covered in water, and a few islands here and there, shreds of civilization around, that kind of thing. So it takes place in that kind of environment, and the adventure of this boy who loves the sea, who lives in the sea, on it, below it, and he meets this girl by chance who has these supernatural kind of connection to nature and the birds, and her uncle's work, which is related to the future of energy and how there's this evil city pursuing his work. I don't know if that's much of a synopsis, but it's that interesting. So despite the fact that it's been done in 1978,
and you actually enjoyed it.
I actually enjoyed it until today. I've rewatched it, so
It's good.
yeah.
Well, this is about... Well, we're going to talk about discoveries, I guess, in this segment when it comes to things like Miyazaki. So, I'm holding in my right hand is a copy of Umiga Kekeru, Ocean Waves, which came out about a little more than a year ago, I guess, in North America for the first time. A Studio Ghibli thing. Neil just found out that Disney no longer has the rights to Studio Ghibli stuff, and that actually the distribution rights belong to Universal now. Through that deal, that's how we have this.
Don't they own Universal though? Doesn't Disney own? Oh no,
That's Fox.
Okay,
that'll be Fox.
Yeah, it'll be Fox.
Universal's next, but then they'll have to take over NBC as well. You know, everything
Fox
is
except for Fox News.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true, actually.
yeah.
Then they're shopping that, I think.
But
too.
but Fox News is equally fictional, so that's I don't know.
So you're wondering why? Why?
Why didn't they take it anyway? God.
Well, the amalgamations continue. So, I mean, Ocean Waves is here. I'm holding this in my hands. Doesn't I think I haven't. See, I've held it for a year, but as you can see,
Still in plastic.
Still in the plastic. So, I believe this is. They didn't provide an English dub for this, so it's strictly subbed.
God.
I gotta watch this sometime. I do want to watch this. I do want to watch this again sometime. I just don't have the time. Much like watching past episode 4 of Attack on Titan. We'll get to that a bit later on.
There are good dubs, but
Name one. I have my
one.
No, I'm not trying to challenge you. It's more of a case of I have my preferences on dubs.
I like Ranma.
Actually, that's a good one.
Ranma is well done. Kuno is quite different, but he is different in a way that makes him more approachable to Western audiences, because a lot of that is tone and polite Japanese speech in the original. So
having him speak poetic like this,
that works. Yeah,
context essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially, they get the context right and would conjure up the same feelings in the audience in the audience. The exact same way,
I think
but
that's
maybe took a different path towards it.
That's what you have to do. You have to transliterate.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite words. No.
How long did it take you to come out with that word?
No, it's an actual word.
I know. Just for it to come to pop into your head
immediately, because that's what happens when I start talking about subs and dubs.
It's a word you use often.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And you mentioned Sailor Moon. I don't think Sailor Moon was, terrific.
I mean, but I dissected the Kenshin dub because I was a Kenshin fan.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoy it. I will always say I enjoyed that, and the way they tried to compensate for the ways that Kenshin spoke.
Yeah.
I thought was really
I think it can be
really...
I think different methods of speaking can be really tough to translate sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Hence the term lost in translation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you... So, as I said, we'll talk about discoveries when it comes to Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki. And I want to start with a little story. So, a couple weeks ago, I was meeting up with my best friend, or he might have texted me, one or the other. He texted me a couple weeks ago and told me that suddenly his daughter, and we took his daughter. He came out to Anime North. We had lunch there with his 3 kids. I
keep nodding. Sorry,
and with my friend, met up with me and another friend and my friend, and because he wanted to let his eldest daughter just take in the atmosphere of an anime convention, even if it's just walking around the area or just taking in the area. So we met up for lunch and went all that stuff. His 10-year-old daughter's taken an interest in some anime and manga and the styles. She's even tried to draw a little bit, and for somebody her age, for a 10-year-old girl, not bad. With just nothing more than a ballpoint pen, not bad.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, he texted me and said son was watching Spirited Away. And he asked me to try and explain it to him. This is funny. Like he had nothing against her watching it. It's just that he didn't know what to make of it. And he asked me to try and tell him what it was about. Frankly, I've forgotten the movie. I will be honest. I've forgotten a lot of the movie because it was so long ago. I know it deserved all its accolades. I know that too. But I was at a loss about how to explain it to him, and it had me thinking about our generation. Us as fans now, as and we've become, many of us of our age have become parents, and many of us have kids that are starting to discover anime like this as well. I mean, Mohamed just talked about Future Boy Conan, so now we're talking about my best friend's eldest daughter discovering Spirited Away. But as a parent, he doesn't know how to he doesn't know how to react to it totally. So how do we do this now? So how should parents who are fans, us as fans, and then but maybe growing to parenting age as well? I don't know. I mean, best way to introduce stuff like this to the to kids, or let them discover it themselves.
Not Princess Mononoke as a first film.
Yeah, he said actually that was part of the discussion. He said I think he said the eldest might appreciate it and start and get some grasp of, say, Spirited Away, but he has another one who's like 7 or 8. He has another daughter who's 7 or 8 who he feels wouldn't be able to understand it, but seemingly enjoy it because she likes following her big sister.
Totoro, Kiki.
Just stuff to watch.
Stuff to watch.
I said to him, if you're gonna if you want something that both of them would enjoy, easily Kiki's Delivery Service was on my list. They have a little boy as well.
It's like a weird coming of age film.
Yeah, it is.
Really,
it is. So that I would have said easily. I would recommend that one. I would have recommended Porco Rosso.
Yeah, oh yeah,
for sure.
Just for the sheer
like the
action element.
The kid, the little orphans piled onto the double-decker plane, and they're all
that just looked like
stuff like that.
That just looked like a lot of fun. And if they're forced to ever watch the dub, Michael Keaton played Porco in that.
That's
by
not
the
bad.
way. So he would have. I think that would have been an excellent role for him.
It's Japanese Tailspin.
It was actually.
Yeah.
But this is meant as a Tailspin is a great compliment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tailspin. I mean, I watched that as a 4th grader.
It's well produced,
and I thought that was just fun to watch.
Yeah,
that was just a fun show to watch. That Disney afternoon block back then was
Darkwing
Tour de
Duck.
Force. Darkwing was DuckTales, Darkwing, Rescue Rangers.
The new DuckTales is pretty good too.
Well, that's out now, right?
Yeah, David Tennant is Scrooge McDuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I ever get the chance, I mean, I have cable again.
The designs are kind of more Flash oriented and big headed, but it's good. The writing doesn't talk down to me.
But that was always the thing about
Miyazaki too.
That was a line that Miyazaki would always use. He didn't want to talk down to kids.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about it today, I mean, it's. I have to reflect on that statement now. I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into that statement. I just thought it was an interesting statement.
There's a lot of modern stuff that's just crap, and then a lot of stuff that seems to be more written for stoner adults that children watch. Maybe I would say
that's one way to put it. Kind of like Rocky and Bullwinkle, maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, that kind of went the other way. Really.
It went all over the place. But but the regular show, which is about this raccoon and this blue jay that have a job working at a country club. They have, their gumball machine boss who's angry at them all the time. And you have visitations from aliens who are David Bowie. Pretty much. So I have no idea who this is written for. There's one of the episodes is returning a role-playing game that one of the characters bought that sucked. And he keeps using the argument, but I have a receipt. So I don't know how that's going to appeal to kids, but
But sometimes you just get surprised.
There's an episode of Teen Titans Go where they talk about buying and flipping real estate, and that's pretty much what the episode is about. It's how to flip real estate. I don't think that's aimed at 5-year-olds.
But do you think a 5-year-old kid a
5-year-old would be entertained by it?
Maybe not a 5-year-old. Maybe that's still too young.
The kids would be excited by it. Like, it's all flashy and stuff, but it's about flipping real estate. It's about buying low and being a slumlord landlord.
Or selling high.
And selling high, yeah.
Ultimately.
And it's like, what? Yeah. So I approve, but...
Well, now we know what caused it in Toronto. All the real estate.
All these kids.
Hey.
Come on.
Well, you have a thought? I mean, do you have a thought on this one, Mohamed? Or
On what?
I mean, Like
Real
just
estate.
the whole. Well, I know you're looking to buy, but you might have already. But you might have been already priced out of the market.
Before I even began looking.
So
Insane.
it's. That's just. It's just something that kind of came to mind.
Most Miyazaki is readily approachable by kids. I would say Nazca and the Valley of the Wind, not so much. And Princess Mononoke, again, not so much.
Well, if you look at, we were just talking about Future Boy Conan.
Yeah. Post-apocalyptic world.
It's a post-apocalyptic world. Yet the concepts that he's talking about from 1978.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I want to get closer to the microphone too.
From the concepts he's talking about from 1978 are very much relevant today.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
And that might be a good primer for if you want to get a kid involved in anime, and not just the anime that's just for fun times, like when you watch Pokemon and you watch Cardcaptor Sakura or things like that. No, like there's an anime that like Miyazaki's that actually has a message behind it.
Yeah,
something deeply rooted in Japanese culture about the love and respect of the environment. And also about the folly of sort of humankind's errors, how the future generations will pay for that. And that's very prevalent in Future Boy Conan.
It's actually, not without you bringing it up, it's very prevalent in Princess Mononoke.
And it's been prevalent in much of his work.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, I think as you've rightly said, Princess Mononoke might not be the best primer for someone who's just beginning grade school to start watching anime because of some of the concepts in it.
Yeah.
Might be a little way over their head.
A little bit violent.
Yeah,
maybe,
a little bit.
Yeah.
Like a talking head, like it's been severed from anyway. But yeah, some of those old animes might have some of those themes, I think, slightly tame in how they're presented, but still some of the messages hold true. And plus, there's a bit of action in it. There's some buddy comedy involved. There's the friendship and the love interest between Conan and the antagonist, the girl. So that kind of thing is, I think, easily digestible for the young age. Could be a good way to start.
Just really, sometimes just let it rip.
Yeah. Like rather than go for the more recent stuff, maybe start with a lot of the older animes that are still relevant.
Like Shin-Chan.
Like Shin-Chan.
Oh boy.
That's
well, I mean, they showed Shin-Chan to kids. I'm sure that hopefully didn't mess. I mean, it's not Miyazaki, but I mean, it's something that's kid-like. Shin-Chan is.
But there are titles that are dangerous, for someone who's not educated enough about anime.
Yeah, you can't just come in.
You can't just pick up a title called The Ping Pong Club and show it to a kid.
Oh,
hey,
dear.
here's an anime about ping pong.
Well, yeah, probably not so much. But
or even Shin-Chan. Here's an anime about a kid on his tricycle. Shin-Chan,
Well, I think the kids would get it more than the parents would.
For sure.
I think
that's probably the dilemma that my friend is facing.
Like I think Shin-Chan is really approachable, even humor-wise, as a kid, because those things are fun and harmless as a kid. But as an adult watching him, you're like, oh, what's going on now? He's calling this calling this woman a transvestite. Then you run into the issues. But as a straight up put it in front of the kids, why not? he is. I mean, are you going to let your kid watch The Simpsons? Because if you are, Shin-Chan is not really a step far away from that.
Mm-hmm. Having said all that, like considering what might be allowable now.
I think there might be a time aspect, maybe, but again,
well,
if kids are watching it, kids are not taking messages into this. They're just watching funny stories. They're not, integrating this into their selfhood or anything like that.
Not in and of itself.
No, and you're not. I mean, if there is something that's like truly batshit weird, and like bothers the kid, then you talk to them about it. That's what you do with everything. If something is, if the kid brings up something to your attention that they have questions about, answer those questions. And I'm just saying that I'm not saying that parents take responsibility, because they don't, and that's the problem. You don't use cartoons as a babysitter. but let kids watch cartoons.
I've always watched Tom and Jerry growing up, and some people would argue now that Tom and Jerry has a lot of violence,
just like any other Looney Tunes
all
stuff.
Of Looney Tunes.
Right? But the worst I've copied out of Tom and Jerry, and my sister I know is not listening to this. I've actually lobbed an egg at my sister, a raw egg, just copying one of the Tom and Jerry cartoons. That's the worst.
Excellent.
That's the worst I've done.
Thumbs up from
both
of us.
It seems that seems like acceptable behavior towards one's sister.
I just saw how it looked on Tom's face, and I want to see how it looked on her face.
Yeah.
So, and how did it look?
Not as what I hoped, but still the same effect of horror and disgust on her face. Yeah. And but I didn't go like torturing animals. I didn't go like doing any of that stuff or burning things. Like
basically pranking.
Yeah, just harmless pranking.
Not ordering dynamite from Acme Corporation or something. No.
Yeah, or like tying like fireworks to my cat.
It's not as if back then you would have known exactly how to get your hands on dynamite. These days, however.
There was this anime, or what I thought was an anime. It's weird because I was younger, and when I grew up, I had the memory of this show, and I sort of tried to integrate it to what I knew, and so it only made sense that it was anime because again, it was messed up and whatever. Called Dodo, the Kid from Outer Space. And it's an American cartoon where everyone rhymes. And the main...
Wow, no, that's already quite impressive for scripting.
Yeah, no, it's like... and Dodo, the alien, lives in Japan with this family, and Mount Fuji tends to figure prominently in the backgrounds a lot. Which is really weird for an American cartoon. Where the heck did they get this idea? Like, what were they thinking? Like, did some, people suddenly see like a bunch of Japanese cartoons and go, yeah, that's where we're setting this, and it's gonna rhyme, it's gonna be an alien. I don't know the concept behind it.
I thought
competition. Just say we can compete too. We can make anime. How do we make anime? Just put Mount Fuji in the background.
It was before like anime was really popular, though.
Yeah.
So that was what.
Preemptive strike?
Yeah, I think so.
Nonsensical.
Well, it's like,
it sounds so nonsensical, though.
Well, it's like coming home from school and watching Vanguard Ace and the Space Musketeers, the Space Gateers, stuff like that. Star Blazers.
Sure. Star Blazers saw that as well as a young kid.
Star Blazers is
Battleship Yamato.
Have you seen the newer stuff?
No.
They've remade it. They're at the second season where the Comet Empire, and the first season, which came out in 2012, really good. Introduced a lot of new characters, but again tolerable characters. And my only criticism of this second season is they kind of conveniently left them on Earth and stuff like that for the second season, so they don't have to include the new characters. That's what it felt like to me. It's like, they're really good character, but they'll stay behind and help us somehow. Bye. And it ended at episode 14, so now which is like...
You're waiting.
Oh, God.
You're waiting.
It's mid-season. It's mid-friggin' season. Dessler has just shown up with his, fancy cape and wine glass looking all pimped. And so...
It's important to be pimped when you're in space.
He is the most...
And with the wine glass,
He is one of the most pimped space leaders I have ever seen. Usually, and he's always... Like, when he was the bad guy, which he still... sort of is, even though he's joining forces with them. He always had like these women sort of draped all over him or in pools or whatever around him. That's you can see that his first thought is, how can I look like a pimp, and then how do I run this vast star empire at the same time
and have fun with the women.
And have fun with the women. Yeah.
Just like Captain Kirk.
Yep. I haven't seen the new Harlock movie, but I watched the first 5 minutes of it. It's CG and it's there's just...
Something tells me I have a bad feeling about that, to be honest.
I heard bad things about it. I read like 2 reviews and both were extremely negative. But I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this because I don't listen to that. Well, I do, but... And I started watching it, and yeah, I got to like 15 minutes in, and it was just like... It just didn't... They did something to it.
I think CG just sort of sets us up
Sometimes
for something.
It's-
It doesn't
Yeah.
always work.
doesn't
out
always
well.
deliver. Yeah.
Maybe are we overdoing it? Is there such a thing here?
I think if you do it well, then it's great. If you do it poorly, then it's not. That really doesn't say anything.
So it just depends.
Well, I mean, look at Archer. Archer is sort of CG-ish animated, but it also has a very conventional animated style.
True.
So
And
It-
they
it's
also
hard.
kind of ripped off the opening from Cowboy Bebop, but anyway.
they did
The style.
Yeah,
the style.
no, very
Not
much,
the-
very
not-
much,
yeah.
very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have to watch that more of that.
you need to because it's good.
Just
It
time.
is.
It's always
It is.
time.
H. John Benjamin. His voice is like
Well, I mean,
magic.
it's like you know how you joked about Roseanne being
Oh,
all
yeah.
of the cast of Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Archer's basically Arrested Development.
Really?
A lot of that.
It's very dysfunctional. Yeah.
A lot of the people.
I really
Good handful of the people.
I really enjoy home movies as well, which was like a Brendan Smalls, H. John Benjamin again, but like
This
years
guy's popular.
before Archer.
I'm so
Yeah.
not keeping up.
Well, not related to him, but related to the creator of Archer. Different voice stuff. Frisky Dingo. It's not
That's just new. That's just so.
what Frisky Dingo.
That's just an awesome term.
It is. It is. It,
It just is.
It came out like 2 years before Archer originally did. I think it was, and it's just messed up. So I mean, I recommend you watch it, but
Oh, so
I don't-
much-
I don't-
So little time, dude.
yeah, I know. Just you have to put it on in the background or something, maybe.
Give me since I have my pen out one more
Okay,
time.
Frisky Dingo.
Frisky Dingo.
It's like a
I
code.
call Dingo.
It's like you quickly call in Frisky Dingo. I repeat, Frisky, and then mayhem
yeah.
happens.
Operation Frisky Dingo.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, anyway, but there's a
Oh.
like
I would start with like the kids. Like there are obviously kids Miyazaki films,
so this isn't hard.
so I don't think it should be hard. No.
No. Maybe I should just tell him Castle of Cagliostro. It's
Yeah,
on Netflix after all.
It's good. It's great. It's great.
start
And
there.
again, there may be like spooky bits and whatever, and those like ninja guys with the fingers.
Oh, I think that would be fun for
but that
for
but that
some
could be
people.
fun, yeah. And again, it's like when you're recommending Rumiko Takahashi, you go for Ranma and Lum, but you don't say Mermaid's Forest because
No, of
yeah, you don't go. What should my kid watch? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about Inuyasha? Okay.
Well,
Not to start, I guess.
I'm not a big fan of Inuyasha, so I don't.
Yeah, I never like. For us, it's always the earlier works.
But
Lum for you.
Yeah.
Meizani Kuku for me.
Oh, that was one of my most favorite
Yeah.
mangas.
So
But never watched it on TV series. I tried. Lord, I tried watching it as an anime, but
It didn't do it for you.
uh,
Sometimes.
it's just too slow.
Okay. Yeah.
But the style is nice and everything, very faithful to the series. I tried watching the dub, by the way, for a brief period of time. And then when I recovered from that experience, after much therapy, I started watching the sub. But still, it again, very nice adaptation, but just a little too slow.
Yeah. It
And-
goes on.
And there,
It does
and-
go on.
yeah,
episodes, was
and there are
it?
many
Yeah.
story arcs in the anime TV series that are essentially not in the manga. So it seems that they've also elongated the story arcs outside of the manga, sort of just to fill up,
It's
episodes.
It's like the filler episodes of Marmalade Boy and stuff like that.
Or Naruto, which again,
Oh.
I've lost track of where I was in Naruto. I don't know if I finished it. I've watched 400,000 episodes, but I don't know if like this is it. Like, is there anything else? Where's the story? Who won? Who lost? I don't know.
Well, it's like I'd like to go back and
Who's
watch
dead? Who's alive?
Kenshin and
No idea.
Fushigi Yugi, but it's like that's a lot of things.
Oh, Fushigi Yugi was cute.
yeah.
that was cute.
But both of them are just like you reach a point in Kenshin at one point where they're just spinning. There, it's like you literally feel like
and
you're,
that's why it got canceled.
oh.
That's why the television series ended.
While they were spinning,
While they're spinning, hey,
Then
slips.
but then they zip ahead and finish. You're like, okay, thank God, sorry, or whatever.
Oh boy.
But yeah, Marmalade Boy does the same thing. Those are.
I mean, as much as I like those shows, I see your point.
Yeah,
I see your point.
I don't think that anime today is, again, you're not out for the grand haul unless you're in One Piece or Naruto or Dragon Ball.
13. So we're just going like in multiples of 13, 26, maybe 39.
It seems to be, yeah, but you're not going to get like 89 episodes anymore,
Unless,
unless again you end up with like Naruto or something, and then it's like episode 8,000.
Maybe one day Attack on Titan. Maybe.
Yeah.
I still get to episode 5 though. Actually, there is. Actually, let's take the break.
Well, I admit, Attack on Titan is kind of hard to digest. No pun intended.
Yes.
But yeah, once you get rolled into it, you just want to see how it ends. You just want to see where it's going with this.
Yeah, season 3 is about
Little
to
Witch
start.
Academia. Yes. I wish there was another 10 episodes. 10 episodes more maybe, and I would be happy. The second last episode, they're chasing a multiple warhead nuke, and then they just wrap it up as quickly as they can, and it's like, God.
Well, that was
the lightning round.
Thoughts all around. Way to go. And somehow the conversation just goes from there about my friend's daughter watching a Miyazaki film.
To multiple warheads. No, it's true. I mean, even Little Witch Academia, kids can watch. I mean, they're not going to feel the threat of a nuke.
Food Wars.
What's that?
That's something anybody can watch. It's about a student who goes to a cooking school, an elite cooking school, where they compete based on how good they can cook ordinary and sometimes not so ordinary meals.
I would watch an animated Iron Walk
Jan. Yeah. It's actually a very good series and is doing well, ratings-wise, in Japan and elsewhere.
Iron Walk Jan, you just throw in dozens of training episodes, and you've got a hit.
Yeah. And anybody can watch it, so it's also fun to watch. Yeah. For if you have somebody to watch it with, like a kid, you can watch it together and both enjoy.
Well, like you said, One Punch Man. One Punch Man is entirely approachable as a kid or an adult.
Yes. Absolutely.
There's all thoughts there. All right, let's take the break. I have been watching something, so I want to talk about it for a little bit. It's a couple years back, but not too far back. Not that far back. But let's talk. I wanted to bring it up and see what you guys thought. I know you probably haven't seen it, but let's talk about it in the final segment, okay? That's coming up next. It's the Roundtable on the Six Talk Podcast Network. Have to bring up blue-green years out during the break.
I love it.
I know. Well, I knew a lot of us did.
I only saw it was only 14 episodes or so translated at the time.
And how many episodes did it turn out?
I think it's another 10.
And then now I
found it, but at this point I've probably lost it on my computer.
It's like a lot of things.
Just
like the password to my computer. Lost completely. I'm locked.
That's lovely. Excellent security.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's great because I can't remember.
Biometrics. Just chop off your finger and carry it with you.
Science will have a solution to your problem in about 20 years. No worries.
Yeah. I could do this thing with paraffin and masking tape where you can replicate the fingerprints. So,
I like this idea already. There's nothing that duct tape can't do.
Exactly.
All right. So here's a thought. As I hinted before the break, I've watched a few things. First of all, I did watch Battleship Tiramisu, at least the first episode. What the hell was from one episode?
I love your response to that.
I'm told after one episode it only gets
weirder.
Yes. Yeah. And just on one. What the hell was that?
Okay, my theory is basically you have a hot-blooded anime, right? You have Gundam, right?
Yep.
But they ended up with extra cameras, and so they just went and filmed this one guy who has nothing to do with the main plot, and he is divergent.
I love the way you paused before saying that.
I'm trying to think of a way to describe this guy.
You already have me thinking. if there's such a thing as an anime that's made to look like a reality show, is there?
Well, you have, I mean, his co-mech pilots are all like the hot-blooded, manly men shonen guys.
And he's like a metrosexual.
He's like a metrosexual who doesn't like, with weird nipples. It's like it's an important fact. It's plot relevant, you know, which is again bad. Which
is bad
yeah,
because like that just tells you what to expect now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my God. See, like with the World Cup over, now I can seriously think about.
Does he get naked in the first episode?
They're in the shower.
Okay.
Oh wait.
Wait. He puts his shirt on inside out, and the tag rubs against his chest. So he freaks out and strips in the cockpit
and jettisons the part
and
of the. Oh my!
He
God.
basically fights naked because he can't deal with this irritation.
Metrosexual.
Yeah.
Metrosexual.
It was chafing him.
Yeah. There's a thing, right? I think episode 2 he gets a dog briefly.
See that?
Did you see?
That depends what kind of dog it is.
The problem with that sentence was its last word, briefly, which has me wondering what happens.
I will tell you that the dog does not die.
Okay, that's a start.
Well,
it's a spoiler. It's a big spoiler. Yeah, it's for like a 10-minute anime. Dog does not die. Your kids can watch this.
Does he get a Yorkie? Is that what it is?
It's this space dog.
Space Yorkie?
I think it's a space chow.
Okay.
I was about to say, was it a corgi?
Yeah, it's like a
corgi would be awesome.
Now
that's an homage right there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Corgis are the best space dogs ever.
Anyway,
I'm missing Aini.
Okay, so there's that. Yeah, and I mentioned I've watched like the first 4 episodes of Attack on Titan, and I'll try and give myself a little bit more time.
And what's your opinion?
I'll watch more.
That's not an opinion. That's the thing. I'll watch more. Do you like it? What do you like about it?
If I said I'm not watching more, obviously I wasn't.
Okay, what do you like about it?
Maybe it's too serious for its own good. It's one of those. It's like, I guess I'm more used to the more ha 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 type. This is not that.
No,
it is
one ha ha in this series.
It is a serious show. But it's a plot that doesn't sound too far fetched for an anime or a manga.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see how it starts to go. So it has my curiosity at worst, which means, at the very least.
Yeah.
So that I think that goes for something. Obviously, it's been a big thing. So I'd like to understand that just a little bit, especially with this 3rd season about to come out.
Okay.
Okay. So there is one thing I'm watching, and here's a name that I haven't mentioned in a very long time: Production IG.
Yay.
Okay. So, but I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit. And I'm going to start by mentioning NHK World again. And I have to give a disclaimer because I think it's only the proper thing. It's the proper thing to do. And in some cases, it might even be, it's probably legally the best thing I do too. I've mentioned in the past programming on NHK World.
Right.
And they have... NHK World over the past couple of years has something referred to as a program monitor initiative. I was about to say program monitor program, but just to be redundant. It's essentially being a Nielsen family for their programming. So if you apply, they'll ask you to watch and give comments and review some of their shows. They'll give you a set of shows they want you to look at, to watch and give your comments on, and then they will pay you just a little bit. So it was a fun thing to do. I did it in late 2016. Enjoyed the experience. Decided to do it again. So I'm doing it again. Decide to try to do it again, and I'm doing it again. So in many ways, yes, I've gotten something from NHK for helping them with their programs. I have to put that out there. legally, right?
Well,
probably seems the proper thing.
to state a possible bias or something. Yeah.
Right. Kind of like when a news operation tells a story about their corporate bosses. They always say at the very end of the report, by the way, we're owned by them.
Yeah.
Etc. Something like that.
Unless you're Sinclair Broadcasting and then you're just evil.
Your last name's Sinclair,
so
it's
annoying.
You should be aware of.
It's like this. It's this big broadcast network in the U.S. and they're the devil.
Well, yeah.
Or for the record, they are the devil. Yes.
And then you share their name, but you are not associated.
Not affiliated or associated or genetically related.
Well, when you've been profiled on Last Week Tonight.
Yeah.
Probably that's all you need to say. I need to say. About a year ago, NHK World did over 2 weeks, or over 2 nights. I think it was over 2 nights. They showed the dub of a movie they showed on their regular station. It was called Kurara, which was a live action story based on the life of Oi Katsuhisha, the daughter of Hokusai. Now, I know in 2015, I think it was 2015, there was Production IG did a movie based on Miss Hokusai, called Miss Hokusai, based on Oi as well. So there's been so I watched Kurara. I watched it dubbed at the time, and then this past spring they rebroadcasted but subtitled within the actual Japanese audio with its star Oi Miyazaki, who, by the way, just to go back a little bit, Oi Miyazaki is a well-known actress, ex-wife of one of the stars of Battle Royale. Just to put other names out there. So I took some fascination with that, and then I made it a point over last week to watch Miss Hokusai just to see how it compared with Kurara, because apparently there's I know that Miss Hokusai was based on a manga. I forgot how long ago, and it was adapted into this animated feature film that Production IG did. Went out to rave reviews, and then I watched Kurara. I watched both to watch the differences, and I enjoyed both, but they were quite different. Those are the two. Kurara was based on a novel by Makate Asai, which was a novel in 2016, and then it was made into that live action adaptation. Apparently, there's a third work as well, which I'm starting to read, which I just started to read because it's available on ebook at the Toronto Public Library, called The Ghost Brush. And it was written by a Canadian. All of these are fictionalized accounts of Aoi Katsuhika, of Miss Hokusai, because not much is known about her life. They're not even totally sure when she died. That's because at a point after her father's death, she went missing, and nobody knows what happened to her from that point. So that's what makes this. So all these 3 works that we're talking about, the novel the novel and the live action, the manga that led to Miss Hokusai, and this new one here, The Ghost Brush, they're all semi-fictional. There's some constants in it. Obviously, Hokusai himself, a student, one of his students named Zenjiro, who became a well-known painter, and I forgot his actual name, the name he would draw under in his later life. But in Kurara, Zenjiro is presented as a possible romantic interest for Oi. In Miss Hokusai, he's presented more of as an annoyance to Oi. So I'm curious to see how he. And this was a real guy.
Yeah.
This was a real artist too. He was well known for his erotic prints. So, I've yet to get too far. I'm only a few pages into Ghost Brush, so I'm wondering how that'll how he'll be presented there. And by all accounts, she in Miss Hokusai, she has a more dismissive attitude towards a lot of people, including her father, including Zenjiro. In Kurara, that's sort of there, but as time went, it became like she had more empathy for various things and stuff. I mean, it's just so weird to see there's some fascination concerning her these days in this movement. I mean, Hokusai has been talked about for obviously for centuries already. But now we're talking about his daughter. And I thought it was just fascinating. So there's a personal recommendation. Just anything concerning her. Whether it is Miss Hokusai, or if you could find Kurara on television, or in any form. Or take a read of The Ghost Brush. But I just thought I'd put that one, give that a thought.
It's
as
interesting
a
the disparity between
all three adaptations.
Yeah,
because as I said, there's only they can only discern a little what's known about her through accounts through written accounts by Hokusai's other students, what they were known to have written and said about her, and that's about it. She was a rather messy character by all. Like, the consistencies are probably based on consistencies that through those third-party accounts, through third-person accounts. She was a rather sloppy, messy person, much like her father. So they often had it, and she lived with her father right up until he passed away. And they kept a very messy place. They were more in tune to just pick up and move, instead of actually clean their place.
That's typical hermit behavior.
Yeah, that's how they were. They were more likely to eat out, to get something, buy something to eat, as opposed to cook themselves, because neither of them ever cooked. And Miss Hokusai, now I don't know if this is a stepmother or her or Aoi's mom, but clearly Hokusai's wife does not live with them, because they feature a little sister who I don't know whether or not she actually existed at this stage. But in Kurara, there's no mention of a little sister.
That's weird.
But the mother lived with them, and the mother and their mom, her mom lived with them. So it's just so.
Those are wildly.
They're divergent, but they're
not
all
creepy at all.
No, they're just. I just found it all fascinating just to compare. So that's why I'm so eager to read to try and read Ghost Brush just a little bit, just to see how this third account will differ from the other two. So if you want a personal recommendation, at least that's one I can make right now. And here they are, looking at their Netflixes. Probably adding that to my list. I am not looking
at Netflix. I'm making a note.
Well, that's good. That works too.
With my electronic device.
Yes, that Nexus tablet, right?
Yeah.
But there's a thought. Is there something that caught your attention, just in my own recommendation there, or because I've asked for recommendations from you guys over the past couple months since Anime Roundtable returned, and now here I am.
I find it really hard to recommend anything,
or at least
period.
Dropping titles on me, right?
Can you repeat the brush name?
The Ghost Brush.
Ghost Brush, okay.
The Ghost Brush by Catherine Gouvier. I'll give you the spelling a bit later on.
Okay.
So it was, and that was. It's also called the Ghost Brush, and according to Wiki, it could also be called the Printmaker's Daughter. And the author is Canadian. So she'd be, after reading this, and then, I'd like to pick her brain on this one day. Just if I am able to finish the whole thing.
That sounds like a graphic novel title.
It sounds like it could be.
Doesn't that sound like a graphic novel title?
It would sound like a perfect graphic novel title, but no, it's a regular novel. So I'm going to try and give it a read and maybe say a little bit more about it in a future episode. But there's my recommendation. If you like Miss Hokusai, try and find the Miss Hokusai as a recommendation. If you watched it, you liked it. There's other stuff, other works, not by other artists and writers about her, and that might be worth looking into, just because maybe the differences might be just fascinating.
Yeah,
because I certainly found the differences fascinating, but that's just me.
Unrelated.
Yes. Before we end off tonight,
but coming out or now into filming. Oh God, I forgot the name. It was Ghost Brigade.
Ghost Brigade.
The Wolf Brigade.
Oh, Wolf Brigade.
Live action.
Wolf Brigade, yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking Wolf Warrior, but that's a Chinese movie.
No, the wolf thing is, well, they described the one as a alternative version of Little Red Riding Hood, which is the farthest you can possibly get. If Little Red Riding Hood is a bomb-toting terrorist, then yes, it is Little Red Riding Hood. I've always found the Wolf Brigade stuff to be highly disjointed because it went to, games, they went to anime, they manga, and they're all kind of unrelated, but they are related. And so I'm not sure how they're going to tie that up in the movie. I hope there's a little bit more coherence of background.
I will just write down these names. I always take these cards just to write down the names, right?
Well, it's like Jinro.
That's right. The live act now. See, that's
now you're like, oh yeah,
yes,
yeah.
No, now
Jinro. There's
Jinro, and I know it by its Japanese name.
Yeah,
that's right. They've started taping. They've started filming a live action.
It's
Jinro.
funny because I said Wolf Brigade, and you're like, I have no idea what that is.
Yes,
Jinro. Oh yeah,
Jinro live action. Oh yeah. Let me. That's my last note for tonight.
That looks like a possible thing, just because it. What is that game? With the Hellghasts?
We'll have to look that up after we're done.
I forget. But again, very the troops in it. It's a PlayStation game. Have very similar armor types to that. Yeah,
we're all at a loss. I
have no idea.
I mean, we're old. We should be parents.
No, I should. That's like the last thing I should be. Always looking for that new anime. No, I shouldn't be a parent.
Anyway, let's leave all this at that, okay? This is that. Let's leave all this at that. As I said, as I get further into, if I'm able to finish the book, maybe get a real copy if I like it enough.
Yeah.
I'll give him a further thought on the Ghost Brush.
That'd be good.
Did I at least pique some curiosity by saying that? Mohamed's been silent the entire time.
No, I'm just
listening in,
taking it in.
Yeah, like I did the last.
Yeah,
taking what you guys were saying too.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll be back here again sometime for another taping, maybe.
Well, it's good.
Who knows?
It was great to see you. It was great to see you.
Likewise.
I mean, I think it's been a couple years. It's been like 3-4 years since I last saw you.
Yeah.
Up until when we met up at the to watch Belgium beat Brazil. all the while, you remember that guy in that pub,
the Brazilian,
the guy who was dressed up in the Brazilian uniform jersey, but he was cheering for every Belgian goal.
Yeah, that was
great.
That was weird.
That was hilarious.
Cool, that was cool though.
That was hilarious.
So hopefully we won't have to wait for another World Cup.
Probably not.
Show up.
Oh,
no. I
I
might be here as soon as Christmas for a visit
for the family and the
family.
The other
maid cafe.
The other extreme. Yeah. So he'll visit in cold weather. Great.
I swear the last time I was here for a taping, it was like the inverse of this temperature. It
is hot out.
Like you had a minus to what it currently is, and that was what it was.
Yeah.
Because it was like a freeze wave or something going on at that time. It had just broken. So
yeah. Well, when the gates of freezing hell break loose, this is the best thing you can do. You come indoors and you tape an episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you're always invited. Obviously, around the microphones, you're invited to just tape a segment. Just tape a monologue. Talk about what's on your mind.
You have some kind of device.
I have a device.
Just record it and send it to me, and we'll put it
integrate it.
Yeah, maybe I'll do like a reportage. You
could be like foreign correspondent.
Yeah,
that's right.
Foreign correspondent.
Underground foreign correspondent. Sure. Of what's happening in the anime underground.
Tell us a story about how it's going in Dubai when you're there. Just like what caught your attention sometime. And then as soon as I figure out how to properly tape a Skype call or something, maybe will actually have you on for an interview.
I'll do a reportage on the Maid Cafe in Dubai, and I'll report
sounds
back.
like
just tell us a story.
That is your duty.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, anyway.
Godspeed,
little one.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. If you have any comments, questions. Why the hell did you get to this point in the recording? How the hell did you manage to listen to the whole thing? But if you did...
Why are you here? No.
One, why are you here? Two, if you have any comments, why not contact us? You've gotten to this point.
Oh,
We're on-
can I recommend a North American writer?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, then we'll sign off.
Yeah,
Okay.
Joe Lansdale.
I think you brought up that name before.
Probably Happen
Yes.
Leonard, which I started reading before anyone else. Well, before he became popular, thank God. I did not know he was also the writer of Bubba Hotep. And he also did some Batman Beyond and Superman, the animated series. Yeah, no, he's got a huge... I started reading him for his cowboy supernatural stuff.
You have mentioned him.
Yeah, and then it went off to like Happen Leonard, which is Texas guys who have bad things happen to them on a continual basis. Really good guy.
We'll look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Yeah, I know.
Before, because I know I've written that title down before.
Happen Leonard?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you and Norm ganged up on me over that one.
It's probably one of the most approachable stuff series-wise.
Mm-hmm.
He also has characters from other novels that he's written occasionally show up in that too, so it's interesting.
There's a thought.
Yeah.
Well, so once again to the audience, since if they've gotten back to this point in the video,
Go
in the
and
taping,
read that and then file your book reports.
yes. Well, you'll be marked next time. If you have a question, if anyone to the listeners out there, as we end off this evening, if you have any questions or comments or flames, because hell, that could happen. Hit us up on Twitter at Anime Roundtable. That's an easy one to remember. Like I said, I can't believe that handle was still available. At Anime Roundtable on Twitter, or email us animeroundtable@gmail.com. We're on SoundCloud. I know for sure we're on iTunes with this podcast. If you want to check out the rest of the archive, www.sixtalk.com. Just remember you use the Drake styling, and it's still there, but it has yet to be updated. The original Anime Roundtable website, animeroundtable.com. I'll try to update that too. I should try and reactivate the Facebook group as well, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I actually got a request to join that group earlier a couple days ago.
Well, then go.
Yeah, I know, because there's like half a dozen. I think yours is amongst them too. We'll try and update that soon. But wouldn't mind knowing that you're out there. It's nice to know somebody wanted to join the group.
Please email us. We're so lonely.
No, we're not. No, it's not that bad.
Oh,
Really?
we're not that lonely.
Well, I'll see you in a couple tapings ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I said, same invite.
Yeah.
You can share a story
yeah.
sometime on what's on your mind. All right. You too, Mohamed. Great seeing you.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for doing it. So, how'd you find it? First show.
Great.
Do it again?
Yes, definitely. I'm in.
All right. Yeah. Well, let us know when you're in town again, okay?
For sure.
All right. That's it for tonight. Join us again for another edition of the Anime Roundtable on the Six Talk Podcast Network.